Hi, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Books and Beaches. So today we are here to talk about all of the new releases, or almost all, of those books coming out in March of 2025. And I think I'm going to say this a lot this year, but wow, is this a huge list of books. Now, I am going to try to keep this one all in one video this time versus last month in February when I broke it up into two. But I should warn you, there are a ton of books to talk about today. So per usual, if this isn't your first time here, you'll know that I try to keep these as short and sweet as I can because there are just so many that we need to get through. But grab a drink, grab a snack, and hang on tight because there are so many great books coming out in the month of March. So I believe we have 4 release dates in the month of March. Our very first release date is March 4th. I have my computer here like usual to help me remember all of these because there are just so many I would just never be able to. The first of which that I found coming out was Broken Country, and this is by Claire Leslie Hall. Now this says it's going to be a love triangle unearths dangerous, deadly secrets from the past, and this is going to be a thrilling tale, perfect for fans of The Paper Palace and Where the Crawdads Sing. And that was the part that caught me because I did really enjoy Where the Crawdads Sing. We have a quote here that says, "The farmer is dead, he is dead, and all anyone wants to know is who killed him." So I am wondering if this is going to be, a little bit mystery, maybe a little bit literary too, because that would kind of be similar to what Where the Crawdads Sing was. But it does say it's a sweeping love story with the pace and twists of a thriller. And it's a novel of shimmering passion, impossible choices, and explosive consequences that toggles between the past and the present to explore the far-reaching legacy of first love. So, like I said, short and sweet, but these will all be linked down below. After that, a book that I think is going to be very popular is One Good Thing, and this is by Georgia Hunter. Now, Georgia Hunter wrote We Were the Lucky Ones. I have not read that yet. I've had it on my Kindle for forever, but I think that's why it's going to be so popular because that book was very popular. So this says it's going to be an unforgettable story of hardship and hope, courage and resilience that follows one young woman's journey through war-torn Italy. So I do believe this is also going to be World War II, which I think her first one was as well, because it says we're based in 1940, but it's going to be the remarkable tale of friendship, motherhood, and survival. And it's a tender reminder that love for another person, even amidst darkness and uncertainty, can be the reason to keep going. So, like I said, I think that one will be quite popular, and I am looking forward to it as well. All right, one that is the 4th in a series, and I think a lot of people already know about this one, but that is Finlay Donovan Digs Her Own Grave. So this is the 4th in the series by L. Casamano, in the, obviously, Finlay Donovan, series. And this, the tagline says, Finlay Donovan may have skeletons in her closet, but at least there's not a body in her backyard. So I'm not going to say too much more about this one. I have read, I believe, the first 2 books in that series. I haven't read the 3rd book yet. Oh, and just kidding. This is book 5. So there are 5 Finlay Donovan books out right now. I was totally mistaken when I first talked about that. So yeah, I don't want to get too much into this one, but the first one is like the perfect mix of mystery and humor, and I felt that way about the second one too, so I wouldn't doubt the other ones follow suit in that. So after that, we have Promise Me Sunshine, and this is by Cara Bastone. Now, I believe this was an early release with Book of the Month. I can't confirm that because I remember looking at the books and my account for Book of the Month is on pause right now, so I can't actually confirm. But this says, how do you find yourself after you lose the one you loved the most? So it says, grieving the loss of her best friend, a young woman's life is turned upside down when she meets a grumpy stranger who swears he can help her live again in this heartwarming, slow burn romance. So if you are interested, that one is there. I love the cover on this one, and like I said, I'm almost positive it was an early release last month. Then we have Count My Lies, and this is by Sophie, I believe, Stava. Names don't count on me. But this one says it's going to be a page turner. And it says a read in one night suspense thriller which we know I love a thriller, narrated by a compulsive liar whose little white lies allow her to enter into the life and comfort of a wealthy married couple who are harboring much darker secrets themselves. For the millions of us still chasing those gone girls, this is perfect for fans of Lucy Foley, and Laura Dave. All authors I have enjoyed in the past, which is why this one caught my eye. And yeah, I mean, I love a good thriller, and it says, careful what you lie for. So that'll be linked below. Another one that the name caught my eye because of books I remember reading from my childhood, but I don't think they're related. This is called The Boxcar Librarian, and this is by Brianna LaBeaux, I believe it is. Now, the reason it caught my eye is because I was a reader of the Boxcar Children books growing up, but I don't think these have anything related. But it says, inspired by true events, a thrilling Depression-era novel is going to be about a woman's quest to uncover a mystery surrounding a local librarian and the Boxcar Library, a converted mining train that brought books to isolated rural towns in Montana. So this book kind of reminds me of like the stories that surround the pack horse libraries, which I think were in like Kentucky or Tennessee, but maybe same concept, but based in Montana. So that one is, let's see. It is inspired by the fascinating true history of Missoula's Boxcar Library, and it's going to be strong, courageous women who survived and thrived in the rough and rowdy West with that of the power of standing together to fight for workers' lives, and providing all by books and connections. So I thought that one sounded really good. All right, another author that is probably widely recognized. This is Hang On St. Christopher, and this is by Adrian McKinty. Now, I have read at least one, if not two books by Adrian McKinty, but this does look like it is going to be book 8 in his Sean Duffy series. Now, I don't believe I have read any of the books in that series. I'm just going to click here and see. No, because the ones that I have read must be his standalones. So I don't want to read too much into this one just in case it spoils, parts of the series. But I'm assuming, just double checking here, I'm thinking this surrounds around, and Detective Inspector Sean Duffy. So probably a book that's going to, be very similar to some of the other authors we've seen, right? Like long series like this. So there's that one. After that, we have Something Like Fate, and this is by Amy Lee. Now, I don't know if I've actually ever completed a novel by Amy Lee. I started one for sure, but I know she's a well-liked romance author. And this says, during a summer in Italy, two best friends discover whether true love is up to destiny or free will, and it's going to be a romantic comedy. So I liked the start of the book that I started by Amy Lee, but I just don't remember finishing it. But like I said, I know she's well liked, and this one caught my eye, especially too because the cover isn't like the standard cartoon cover that I've seen in a lot of her other books, and I like that it's different. So there's that one. All right, another book by an author that I am sure a lot of people are looking forward to, and I have really enjoyed the things that I've read by them before, and that is You Killed Me First by John Mars. So John Mars is a very well-known author in, I don't know necessarily if I would say popcorn thrillers, but I think, popcorn thrillers. And so this one says it's going to be 3 women, 3 smoldering secrets, and who will make it out alive. So and someone is quoted as saying this is trademark John Mars. And let's see. So yeah, it looks like we're going to be in multiple different timelines with multiple different women. One is stuck in a fire. And we have 3 women that are going to be fabricating the perfect pretense of friendship, but each harbors her own deadly secret. So, and then, yes, somebody's going to figure out something. So I don't want to read too much more into it, especially with thrillers. I say that all the time, but sometimes I think they can tell us too much. So there is that one. After that, a YA author that I have read before and enjoyed the book is We Were Warned, and this is by Chelsea Icasso. So, like I said, I've read her before, I've enjoyed it. It says, everyone knows the legend of Fairport Village. 25 years ago, a shocking murder closed the place down. This year, the ruins will be bulldozed at last, but tonight, it's not too late to die. So I kind of want to keep it at that, especially even with YAs. They might even tell us way too much in these, but I've liked the stories that she's told in the past, so I will link that one below. After that, one that I had not heard about before I started doing my research, this is The Girl from Greenwich Street, and it's going to be a historical novel based on the true story of Hamilton Burr and America's first murder trial. So I know that Alexander Hamilton has been, a very well-known name, especially with the musical coming out as of late, or in the last few years, I should say. But says it's going to be based on the true story of a famous trial. It says this novel is Law and Order 1800. That's funny. As Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr investigate the shocking murder of a young woman who everyone and no one seemed to know. So, gonna leave it at that. But like I said, I didn't know about that one until I started doing my research, but I figured the concept might appeal to a lot of people. All right, then we have a third book in a series, and this is a series that I actually was not aware of until I started doing this research, but I like to make sure I can be as diverse as possible. And this is Oathbound, and this is number 3 in the Legendborn cycle. So I'm trying to think of, we have Legendborn, which now that I think about it, I may have heard of that one, and Bloodmarked, and these are all by Tracy Dion. So I don't want to say too much about book 3, but it says it's more of like a contemporary fantasy that blends Southern Black girl magic with secret societies and the legend of King Arthur. So if that is something that you're interested in or you've been looking forward to that one will be coming out on March 4th, which hopefully I said that at the beginning of this now that I think about it. After that, we have The Good Samaritan, and this is by Tony Helene, I believe. Not to be confused with The Good Samaritan that's written by John Mars. But this is going to be a college professor is offered a chance at redemption if he can figure out the right thing to do in this thoughtful psychological thriller, which is why I caught my eye, from the author of The Surrogate. So this person also wrote The Surrogate. But I think this might even be no, not necessarily dark academia, but we have a sociology professor that has lost his toddler son, his wife divorced him, and his teenage daughter abandoned him, and he just lost a job that he loved. So, and it looks like he is going to be based in southern Minnesota for a new job. So, I don't want to read too much into it, but if you're looking for a good psychological thriller, this may be a good option. All right, after that, we have The Undoing of Violet Claiborne, and this is by Emily Crichley, I believe, or Critchley, names, I tell you. It says this is going to be fans of Sarah Penner, which I know I've read one book by her and I really did like it. And it's going to be a slow burn gothic mystery following Jillian, a young girl enthralled by the enigmatic Claiborne sisters, their house at Thornley Hall, and the tragedy that binds them together for good. So, a little bit of twists in a lot of different areas there. It says to become a Claiborne girl, she'll have to betray one first. So it does make me curious. It looks like we're based in 1938. And it says there's going to be layers of friendship, privilege, mental health, and more. This would be a great book club read with characters you won't soon forget. So definitely caught my eye there. And then last but certainly not least, the book that I found coming out on March 4th is The Memory Ward, and this is by John Bassoff. And it says it's going to be a haunting Russian doll of a novel, so, multiple layers, about one man's attempt to discover what's real and what isn't. I mean, whenever I see a thriller or mystery, I'm going to probably add it. But it says this is going to be a disquieting page turner that examines the nature of identity, trauma, and what it means to be human. So, and it looks like it's going to be based in Nevada. So I will have that one linked below, and if you want to check it out, it'll be there for you. But those are all the books that I found coming out on March 4th. All right, our next release date in March is March 11th. Now, this is a little bit shorter than the first date of the month, but still some really great books coming out. The first of which being Girl Anonymous, and this is by Christina Dodd. Now, it says it's The Godfather meets West Side Story, and it's going to be a twisty, darkly romantic thriller. Interesting things adding together there. It's a dangerous blast sends a girl into hiding to escape a deadly family feud. Interesting. So, let's see here. It says, as a child, I'm gonna think it's Mara, saw her mother ignite an explosion that killed a vengeful mob boss and herself to save Mara's life. But she's been on the run ever since, fleeing from intimacy, from love, and from consequences. So, little murder, little romance. If that sounds right up your alley, this one will be linked below. After that, an author that I am sure people are looking forward to this book. She's not necessarily an author for me, but I can understand why a lot of people do like her, and that is Story of My Life, and this is by Lucy Score, and it looks like this is going to be the start of a series called Story Lake. So, if you're familiar, Lucy Score wrote, of course, now I can't think of what the popular series that she wrote was. Oh, Things We Never Got Over. So I know that one's really popular, that just wasn't necessarily for me. But this one says it's going to be a brand new small town romance. A Gilmore Girls meets Schitt's Creek redemption rom-com. Now, even though I don't necessarily like the other book I've read by her, that in itself, Gilmore Girls and Schitt's Creek, catches my attention because I did like both of those shows. So I can't say that I won't be reading this one at all, but, and it says, the author's note, this series is my love letter to every reader who said they wanted to move to a fictional town. So you might get me there, but I'll have more information on that one linked below. All right, after that, we have one that caught me by the title, and this is All the Other Mothers Hate Me, and this is by Sarah Harmon. Now, I love the quote here. It says, the missing boy is a 10-year-old Alfie Risby, and to be perfectly honest with you, he's a little, you know what. So that makes me laugh. But it says this is going to be hilarious and twisted. All of the Mothers Hate Me is the must-read book of 2025. Oh, I mean, who wouldn't say that? But we have a 31-year-old party girl who always takes the easy way out. She's single, she's broke, and she's unfulfilled after a humiliating end to her girl band career. But the only reason she gets out of bed today is for her 10-year-old son. So, yeah, and I'm looking for, I want to say it's something to do with her son's bully, and I don't know, it could kind of take us on a ride. So there's that one. After that, one that I'm assuming is going to be a romance, and this is My Big Fat Fake Marriage by Charlotte Stein. So I don't think this is in a series. I feel like we had a very similar title, like My Big Fat Fake Wedding, but who knows? But not the same author. This says something has to give. Could it be her heart? So, I think we're gonna have kind of your stereotypical, like, I don't trust them, you know, what is this gonna be? And it's going to be based around a writing retreat, and yeah, a lot of firsts, and, you know, persuading this girl that this is really real. So that one is coming out on the 11th. After that, we have, I believe, let me just see here, book 2 in a series, and this is Kills Well with Others, and this is by Deanna Rayborn. Now, this is the follow-up story to Killers of a Certain Age. Now, I haven't read that one yet. I believe it's about women that are like senior assassins, and I think the first one, they were being attempted to be assassinated. So I don't know too much about this one, but I don't want to say too much about the second one just in case I spoil anything, but I will have this one linked below if you have already read the first one and are looking to pick up the second. After that, we have a book that I had not heard about once again until I started doing my research, and this was The Californians, and this is by Brian Castleberry. It says it's going to be a multi-generational family saga of ambition and inheritance. Let's see. It says, for fans of Trust and Northwoods, a daring novel that spans 100 years of American history, from the early days of the cinema to the rise of NFTs. Not quite sure what that is. I'd have to look that one up. About parents and children and the drive to create even in times of crisis and the inheritance of grand Western dreams. So, just kind of an interesting take on, you know, a different sort of novel, maybe a little bit more literary, and I like the idea that it spans 100 years. So, yeah, that is The Californians. All right, and then last but certainly not least of books that are coming out on March 11th, we have Claire Darling, and this is by Callie Kazumi. And it says, this is a psychological thriller. We all know I love that one. One woman's desperate quest for answers reveals just how far she's willing to go for love or revenge. And Liv Constantine is quoted to say that she devoured this book. And we have a tagline, she's been ghosted, but she won't be forgotten. That's got me curious because ghosting is a hot button topic around here. And so I am certainly curious what this one will all be like. So those are all the books that I found coming out on March 11th. All right, so our next release date in March is March 18th. And once again, tons of different books coming out on this date. The first of which I think is a very anticipated novel for a lot of people, and that is Sunrise on the Reaping. And this is a Hunger Games novel by Suzanne Collins. So I believe, whose book did they say this is? I think this is Hamish's book. Now, I don't know a ton about the Hunger Games series. I haven't read it, so I don't want to go too much into this one, but I had to mention it because I think it is a book that a lot of people are looking forward to. And, you know, it's supposed to be a 5th book in the series, but I am not sure how it fits in timeline-wise. So don't hate me because I haven't read them. I know, and as a middle school educator, it's probably like a major crime, but this one is coming out on the 18th. After that, we have Everything is, oh, I always say this wrong because I always think of it as TB, but tuberculosis. Oh my gosh, do not yell at me for saying that wrong. But you know what I'm talking about, and the cover is going to be here. It says The History and Persistence of Our Deadliest Infection, and this is by John Green. Now, I know John Green has a lot of variety in the novels that he writes, and this says it is going to be a passionate advocate for global healthcare reform, or that's what John Green is. So he is going to tell a deeply human story illuminating the fight against the world's deadliest infectious disease. So if that is something you think you can handle, it says he is going to tell Henry's story, this Henry Reader, young patient, woven through the scientific and social histories of how this disease has shaped our world and how our choices will shape the future. So this one probably is going to be deep, but I think it would be a very interesting read. I remember getting tested for TB like before I even got my teaching license or teaching job. So there's that one. All right. After that is the sequel to a book that I read quite a long time ago. And I know it is somewhere over here. And that is The Love We Found, which is the second in the sequel, or the sequel to The Light We Lost. And this is by Jill Santopolo, I believe. I remember really enjoying the first book. And it says it is the long-awaited follow-up because, like I said, I want to say it's been a few years. But it is a thrilling love story about the roles fate and choice play in shaping a life. I don't want to read too much about book 2, but if I go back to book 1, which is The Light We Lost, let me just tell you a little bit about that one. And so it is, I want to say, a woman goes back, and I'm trying to remember this because it's been a while since I've read it. She basically has to make a choice between a guy that she used to love a long time ago and the guy that she knows now. So it says it's the devastatingly romantic about first love with a shocking, unforgettable ending. And I do remember the ending to be shocking, but I'll have to refresh my memory before I jump into the other one. So there's that one. I'll have them both linked below for you. After that, we have The Paris Express, and this is by Emma Donoghue. Now, I know I've read at least one book by Emma Donoghue, and so that's why this one caught my eye. This is going to be a sweeping historical novel about an infamous 1895 disaster at the Paris, Montparnasse, I don't speak French, so I'm definitely saying that wrong, train station. So apparently there was an actual 1895 disaster that went down in history, and so this is going to be set on a train packed with fascinating cast of characters who hail from as close as Brittany and as far as Russia, Ireland, Algeria, Pennsylvania, and Cambodia. So I think there's going to be a lot going on in this one. It says it's going to capture politics, glamour, chaos, and speed that marked the end of the 19th century. So probably, a story that we all haven't read much about. So I definitely want to look into that one. After that, we have a book that is right up my alley when it comes to things I like, and that is Beach Vibes. And this is by Susan Mallery. Now, I don't believe I've ever read anything by Susan Mallery, but it says it is going to be about found family, secrets, and betrayal on the sun-kissed beaches of Malibu. Does that not sound perfect? The question it poses here, what would you do if you caught your brother cheating on your best friend? So, I don't want to read too much more into it, but there's a lot that would interest me here. But it says love and loyalty are going to collide with secrets and betrayal in this witty and emotional tale. So, and about the lengths that will go for family. So, there's that one. But I love the cover. All right, after that, we have a book that I actually have a copy of. So I won't even need to grab the image of this one because I do believe I won this as an ARC from Goodreads. And that is The Story She Left Behind, and this is by Patty Callahan Henry. So love this cover, and actually it's kind of like shiny, which I really, really love. And so if I look here, it says this is going to be inspired by true literary mystery. And excuse me, so it's about a legendary book, a lost mother, and a daughter's search for them both. So a couple different timelines, looks like 1927, 1952, and yeah, we're spanning 3 generations of women, and tied together through long-held secrets. It's going to explore the vast power of language, how we use words to conceal and to reveal, to damn and to forgive, and how using them well can bring true love and healing. So, love this cover. Looking forward to picking this one up. Actually kind of matches what I'm wearing today, but there's that one, and I will be sure to have a link below. All right, after that, we have totally opposite, Killer Potential, and this is by Hannah, I'm going to say Diecht, I believe, and this one says, it is a darkly funny and provocative, edge-of-your-seat thrill ride that follows 2 unlikely fugitives, an SAT tutor who finds her rich employers brutally murdered, and the bound woman she frees from their mansion. And it's a debut novel, which I love finding debuts, perfect for fans of The Guest and My Sister, the Serial Killer. Now, I don't know if I've ever read at least one of those, but I love finding a new thriller author, and maybe this one could be one that we all end up enjoying. So I will have that link below. All right, after that, we have a book that caught my eye while I was doing research because I believe this one is nonfiction, and this is 4 Red Sweaters by Lucy Adlington. It says the powerful true stories of women and the Holocaust, which is why it caught my eye. And it tells the stories of 4 Jewish girls during the Holocaust, strangers whose lives were unknowingly linked by everyday garments, revealing how the ordinary can connect us in extraordinary ways. So I very rarely, I think, find a lot of nonfiction that I want to put on these lists, but this one definitely caught my eye. I think it's such an important, thing to look at. And it looks like this one is also going to include illustrations, if you get the physical book. So yeah, caught my eye, and I definitely think this one will be one I'd be checking out soon. After that, we have The Library Game, and this is by Gigi Pandian, I believe. And it does look like this is book 4 in the Secret Staircase Mysteries. So I'm thinking maybe more of like a cozy mystery series. And it says, in The Library Game, Tempest, Raj, and Secret Staircase Construction are renovating a classic detective fiction library that just got its first real-life mystery. So yeah, I'm definitely thinking more cozy mysteries. This is part of Under Lock and Skeleton Key, The Raven Thief, and A Midnight Puzzle. So those are the 3 other books that are part of the series. So I don't want to read too much more into that just in case, but if you've read the series, let us know below and if it's one that we should check out. All right, also coming out on the 18th, we have Serial Killer Support Group. And this is by Saratoga Schaefer. Now, it says, as her sister is murdered, a woman infiltrates a support group for serial killers in this biting queer feminist debut thriller, perfect for fans of the Final Girls Support Group, which I have read, and My Sister, the Serial Killer. I haven't read, but I have that one like on my watch list. So this could be very, very interesting. The Final Girls Support Group, I believe, was by Grady Hendrix, and excuse me, I need to slow down. And that one was quite interesting. And so this one says it's going to be a dark, witty debut, and it's an homage to women's wrongs that will have you wondering exactly how many monsters walk among us. So, interesting concept there, for sure. And following that, we have a book called Early 30s, and this is by Josh Deboff. And this is another debut, which is, like I said, really exciting. I love, to find some debuts. And this says it's going to be hilarious and painfully relatable about two 30-something best friends' messy search for connection and love in New York. Perfect for fans of Rebecca Searle, Gabrielle Zevin, and Dolly Alderton, which I've read 2 of those authors. So, and it caught my eye because, granted, I'm veering into my late 30s, but I like a book that doesn't have just our standard 20s audience. It's kind of fun to get something different. So, and it says sometimes friendship can be its own love story. So there is that one. And then last but certainly not least, of books that I found coming out on March 18th, probably a very well anticipated, and this is A Map to Paradise by Susan Meisner. Now, I have read other books by Susan Meisner before and quite enjoyed them. So this one says it's going to be based in 1956 in Malibu, California, and it says something is not right on Paradise Circle. So we have like a starlet whose name is now on the Hollywood blacklist, and she doesn't have a lot of company. And let's see, where is this one going to go? It says unexpected secrets are revealed among all 3 women. So there's gonna be 3 different women that we're taking a look at, leading to an alliance that seems the only way for any of them to hold on to what they can still call their own. But it's a fragile pact, and one little spark could set it all up in smoke. So, caught my eye, and like I said, I know Susan Meisner is very popular, so there's that one. But those are all the books that I found coming out on March 18th. All right, last but certainly not least, we have our final release date in March, and that is March 25th. And this, once again, is quite the list. But first of which is Saltwater, and this is by Katie Hayes. Now, I believe this was an add-on for Book of the Month, which is why I think a lot of people are talking about it. But it is set on Capri, the island off of Italy. Place I would love to go. And it says anything can be a mirage and no one holds a grudge like family. So it's going to be an electrifying thriller about an opulent family retreat to Italy that's shattered by the resurfacing of a decades-old crime. I don't want to read too much more, but definitely location, thriller, that's what caught my eye. And it looks like we're set in the 90s, 1992, I believe. So it says, as long hidden secrets about that night boil to a surface, one thing becomes clear: not everyone will leave the island alive. So you got me there. All right, after that, another one that I think has been talked about quite frequently, especially after the movie Wicked coming out, is Elfie. And this is the wicked childhood of Elphaba from the series that inspired the major motion picture. And this is by Gregory Maguire, who, yes, also wrote the actual story of Wicked. So I have my copy sitting over here. But this is going to be what happened to young Elphaba before her witchy powers took hold in Wicked. Almost 30 years after the publication of the original novel, our author reveals the story of prickly young Elfie, the future Wicked Witch of the West, setting the stage for the blockbuster international phenomenon that is Wicked the musical. So we are going to get her beginning story, which I will really look forward to. I have yet to read the book Wicked, but I really want to, especially before the second half of the movie comes out. So there's that one. All right, after that, a book that I believe is part of a series. It is Lethal Prey by John Sanford. This is book 35 in the Prey Lucas Davenport series, which I wouldn't doubt is some sort of investigator. It is like unfathomable to think about, 35 books in a series. But for those of you that might be interested, that one is here. And they are going to have to track down a ruthless killer who will do whatever it takes to keep the past buried. So if you are a fan of John Sandford, he does have this other one coming out on the 25th. After that, we have a book by Sandy Jones, and I know I have books by Sandy Jones on my shelves. Whether or not I've read them is a whole other thing. But this is I Would Die For You by Sandy Jones, obviously. And this is going to be set in a couple of different timelines, it looks like. We have California in 2011 and London in 1986. So, and it says it's going to be infused with the sounds of the 80s. This thrilling novel explores the chaos that the frenzy of fandom can provoke. So, we're going to have, two different characters. Yeah, I don't want to read too much into this, but I will have it linked below for you. All right, after that, we have a book that I am definitely looking forward to it. I have it on NetGalley. I haven't picked it up yet, but that is Witness 8, and this is by Steve Kavanagh. Now, I believe this has already come out, at least in the UK, but this should be the US debut. And this is, they call him the Master of Twist, Steve Kavanagh, and it is going to be unguessable and unputdownable. And it says something is wrong with Ruby Johnson. She was a member of the elite Upper Manhattan class, former resident, but now she is working as a maid. So, and we're getting Eddie Flynn. I did not realize this was part of the Eddie Flynn series. It does say this is number 8 in the Eddie Flynn series. And if you more than likely have probably heard of either The Plea or 13. Those are part of the Eddie Flynn series. I absolutely loved 13. So I did not realize this was part of that series. So I don't want to read too much more. I know most of these can be read as standalones. But Eddie Flynn is kind of this very interesting detective. And but if you have not, it says is perfect for fans of Lisa Jewell and Megan Miranda. And yeah, so I will have more link below, but I am definitely looking forward to that one because I have loved the books I've read by him already. All right, after that, one that I found while doing my research is All of Our Beautiful Goodbyes, and this is by Julie-Anne McLean. So I believe this is going to be a tale of unrequited love that is by turns breathtaking, heartbreaking, and utterly unforgettable. Now, a couple different timelines, lots of those happening this month. We have 1946 during World War II, just after I should say, and then 1995. So I'm thinking it's going to be like a granddaughter discovers things about her grandparents. So it says a shining thread of hope illuminates this epic tale of lost love and fallen dreams set in the remote splendor of Nova Scotia and spanning decades. So nice historical fiction for us there. All right, after that, one that I am certainly looking forward to. This is The Unlucky Ones, and this is by Hannah Morrissey. Hannah Morrissey is actually a Wisconsin author, which I love, but she wrote this Black Harbor series. The one that you're probably most familiar with, or two that you're most familiar with, are Hello Transcriber and The Widowmaker, but the third book was When I'm Dead. I want to say most of these were featured on Book of the Month at some point, but this is the fourth book called The Unlucky Ones, and I don't want to read too much into it. Now, once again, I feel like most of these Black Harbor books you could read on their own, but sometimes they have little Easter eggs and stuff from the other books included. But we have our police transcriber turned novelist, our main character, comes back to Black Harbor to help solve a murder. Like I said, I am not going to read too much more into that because I have read the first two. I have not read the third one yet, but that one is coming out on the 25th. After that, probably one of my most anticipated books of the year. But I had to throw it in the middle here so I didn't get too excited. But this is This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I will probably be pre-ordering this book. I haven't yet, but I will, because I have loved all the thrillers that Ashley Winstead has written. Now, I haven't read most of her romances, but because I think she has at least 2, but her thrillers I have loved. And so this one is going to be a chilling, compulsive story of 5 amateur sleuths whose hunt for an elusive killer catapults them into danger as the world watches. So I wonder. Oh, okay. So this one could be somewhat based off of the things that happened in Idaho not too long ago, but it says, told 1 year after the astounding events that concluded the case and left the world reeling, Jane has finally decided to break her silence about what really happened, and she's going to tell the story of these Delphine massacres. But we're going to be shocked about what she confesses. I don't want to read too much more, especially on this one. I want to go in like completely surprised because I have a feeling Ashley Winstead is going to take us on a wild ride, but I cannot wait for that one. After that, we have what I believe is another thriller, and this is Retreat by Kristen Ritter. And it says, this is going to be about a beautiful con artist that insinuates herself into a wealthy socialite's life with deadly consequences. So it's a thriller about identity and obsession from our best-selling author, Kristen Ritter. Let's see. Dangers that may have already ensnared. This might not be the con of her life, but the con that ends it. So we shall see, but I'll have that link below. All right, after that, we have Our Infinite Fate, and this is by Laura Steven. Now, I believe this is young adult magical realism, but it says, let's see. Oh, that's talking about the thing. It's going to be the invisible life of Addie LaRue meets This Is How You Lose the Time War. Heard of the first one, not the second one. In this fantastical love story that defies death as two souls reincarnate through the centuries. It says they loved each other in 1,000 lifetimes. They've killed each other and everyone. So, if that is right up your alley, that will be kind of, YA fantasy novel coming out on the 25th. After that, we have one that certainly caught my eye while I was doing research because I had never heard of this one before. And that was Gothic Town by Emily Carpenter. Now, I believe this one was kind of rated like horror, but it says it's going to be an immersive Southern Gothic with echoes of The Lottery and Sharp Objects, which Sharp Objects is by Gillian Flynn. And it's going to be a restaurateur lured by pandemic-era incentives, moves her family to a seemingly idyllic small town in Georgia, only to discover a darkness lurking behind the Southern hospitality and sun-dappled streets. It says, welcome to gentle Juliana, where you can have it all if you pay the price. So that one, I don't know, it caught my eye. Like I said, I had never heard of it before, but I think it could be really interesting. After that, we have The Other People, and this is by C.B. Everett. It says, a group of strangers gathered at a mysterious country house are in a race against time to stop a serial killer. And it's going to be a twisty, high-concept thriller that combines Agatha Christie with Shutter Island. So, I don't know. But the quote here, it says, 10 strangers, an old dark house, a killer picking them off one by one, and a missing girl who's running out of time. And then there was one. So if you like that sort of trope in books, which we've had a lot of the and then there was none tropes in thrillers, I think this one would be right up your alley. And then finally, last but certainly not least of books that I found coming out on March 25th is Nowhere, and this is by Allison Gunn. I do believe, yep, this one is a debut, and it says, this is going to be spine-tingling and twisty debut about a series of disappearances in a small fundamentalist town and what one broken family must do to remain together as dark forces close in. So, another thriller I had to add to the list. As we know, it's always a little thriller heavy around here, but that is all right. So, those are all the books that I found coming out in March. By no means, as I always say, is this an extensive list, just the ones that caught my eye and that I thought I would share with all of you. Are there other books that you know coming out in March? Feel free to let us know in the comments below, or maybe just which one from this list has caught your eye. So, as always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.